Ladies and gentlemen, football is back. I mean, I know we did the whole preseason, the Hall of Fame preseason game, but that didn't count. We got 12 games in one night. 12 games in one night on Thursday. Football is back. Preseason, the first week. I'm going to give you some news. Keep in mind, let me say the time like I usually do. I'm very excited. It is 12:11 p.m., so right in the afternoon, right? It's noon. If you know how to tell the time, you knew that. 12:11 p.m., Tuesday, August 6th. That's important. It is Tuesday at noon. There's going to be a lot of information regarding the Week 1 preseason games coming later in the day today after practices are done, and a lot tomorrow in terms of what the depth charts are all looking like. A lot of the unofficial ones have come out. We'll talk a little bit about those, but also just who's starting, who's going to see more time, any coach speak that comes out about that. Don't worry, I wanted to get a video out as soon as possible. One, so many of you guys are fucking nagging me about getting a video out. All right, here it is. The video's out. I apologize for cursing. I'm not going to bleep that out because that takes too much time in post-editing. But a lot of people are asking me, okay, Sal, I'll get a video out, right? All right, I'll get one out. We'll talk about the news and notes so far. We'll talk about some names that I'm keeping an eye on in terms of opportunities. It is the preseason. All the salaries are the same. So it's literally just trying to find all the opportunities you can. Opportunities reign supreme in DFS. So I think it's important that I update you on just the news and notes from this week. And then I'll name about 10 to 12 players that seem interesting to me right now outside of the obvious ones that are always like the backup quarterbacks or that are rookies, these rookie running backs that they want to see more of, right? Those are the sexy plays, right? Your Calimary, your Daniel Jones, whatever it might be. We're going to talk about them. We'll talk about a couple more things going on. And then, yeah, I will come back on Thursday morning and do another video to recap things that have changed. So this is going to be more of a first look, get you prepped. Thursday, we'll have all the information possible that we can get before the games. I'll come back Thursday morning and I'll have more information, or at least I assume more information. But before we get into all of that, I have an NFL course, a daily fantasy sports NFL DFS course that is going to be releasing probably Thursday, just perfect in time for the preseason. It's about 95% of the way done, just uploading all the videos to the course. It's about 5 hours of videos. It's not just your, oh, this is how you build a lineup. No, I'm showing you how to build the stats model. If you follow me for MLB, NFL, or MLB and NBA, WNBA, showing you how to build a stats model, how I use some of my algorithms. I'm also talking about how ownership, contest selection, giving you my bankroll stuff, 10 pages of key stats in terms of me and analyzing the key stats that you should be looking at, not your yards per carry or passing yards in the game for the quarterback. We're going a little bit deeper than that. I put a lot of time into this course. I've been working on it since May, believe it or not, consistently, and I'm excited to have it out right in time. So you can sign up down below. There's a link to sign up for the course or to sign up to be opted into the email list, which is pretty much me just saying, hey, the course is done. You want to buy it? You can click this link and get it. I'll be much more formal than that, but no spam ever. It's just going to notify you when the course is exactly done and on the market with most likely a promotional code. So you can sign up to that down below. Yeah, I don't know what the price is going to be yet. Let me know what you guys would be willing to pay for a course if you want, but I'm excited. You can subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I know there's a lot of I'm talking about, right? People say, oh, you talked too much before you got into the video. So let's just get into the video. Subscribe if you'd like. I apologize for all the housekeeping. There's a lot to say. The NFL season is back. There's a lot going on the channel. Thank you all so much. Let's get into it. I'm going to talk about some news and notes, and then I'll give you some plays that I think are interesting. Maybe not the household names, but players that you should keep an eye on for Week 1 and potentially moving forward in the preseason. So, I mean, just in terms of news, Sutton and Sanders, Emmanuel Sutton, Cortland Sutton, Emmanuel Sanders got in a scuffle at practice. They said it was just brotherly fighting, whatever it might be. Michael Crabtree is nearing a deal with, is nearing a deal with the Arizona Cardinals. It seemed like he was already signed. Now they're saying it's not official. Foreman to Indy, just in case you have not seen already. Deontay Foreman was cut by the Texans. That makes Lamar Miller a very sexy option, at least for fantasy, full season long. And now he is in Indy. Flacco is going to start on Thursday for the Broncos, but they said he's probably not going to get too much time there. So, I mean, usually starters don't get time anyways, but they're saying less than normal timing for Joe Flacco. Josh Jacobs and Hunter Renfrow were named starters for Oakland. Josh Jacobs, the rookie running back that they have a lot of stock in right now, is named the starter, which was sort of expected for the Oakland Raiders. Hunter Renfrow was also named the starter for the preseason game 1. Slot receiver out of Clemson, I believe. Really good player there. He's also a rookie. Seems nice that there's going to be opportunities for these young guys early on to shine. Fitzpatrick is going to start. In Miami. Josh Rosen is not starting, which is not really a surprise, but what is not great to hear is the coach says he has a long way to go. That's not great. Not great to hear that. So Fitzmagic is starting. Nothing major there. It's just a note that Josh Rosen has not been looking good so far. Jets offense looks lethargic is what some beat reporters were saying, although Sam Darnold has looked a lot better. His velocity has increased, and they're saying that there's a lot more improvements than they thought possible since last year. Seems more than coach speak, since there's a lot of players or a lot of beat writers saying this. Antonio Callaway, if you remember him from the Browns, he's sliding down the receivers list. We'll talk about some of the Browns that are sliding up the receivers list, but he's now down to like the 6th spot on the receivers list, potentially going to be cut. Not great for the kid who was, I believe, a rookie last year. Curtis Samuel hype. get the Curtis Samuel hype ready. They're saying that Curtis Samuel looks more like the number one out there than DJ Moore. They said he's had the best camp out of any wide receiver in the past couple of years in Carolina. And yeah, it's pretty exciting, right? For a guy that is going to be dirt cheap. He's $4,200 compared to $5,500 for the actual week 1 of the NFL season. And this might not be too pertaining to the week 1 of the preseason, but I just want to get everybody prepped. And then Quincy Enunwa today, he hurt his hip. He's going to get an MRI. So that's all the up to the second news. Let's talk about players that have been getting the hype train for the preseason, who look to be potentially in really good spots for the preseason. Obviously, starters are going to only have a little bit of run. The starting quarterback, your Aaron Rodgers, might not even play. So keep all that in mind. That's what I'm going to come back Thursday and give you the final news and notes in terms of who's playing in the games, who you should be playing based on the amount of time they're going to play in the second and third quarter, like the primary backups and the third strings, and then where you should go from there. So I want to give you some news. Well, I gave you the news. Now I want to give you some notes on players for the preseason. Again, keep in mind, a lot of these guys are brand new rookies. A lot of these guys are just trying to make teams. We're just trying to dig for dirt here, dig for opportunities. What we're looking for is how they've been performing in practice, where they're labeled on the unofficial depth charts, what beat writers are saying about the coaches speak on them. Because right now we don't have past history to go off of a lot of these guys in the preseason. Some of them we do. Some of them that's good to have. We have explosive players that we'll talk about on here. Potentially a TJ Yeldon that's going to get a lot of bulk in the preseason because he's just got backs in front of him. So we're going to start the whole thing off, and I'm just going to type in names and pop their pictures up because I don't have any database set up for the preseason. I mean, how could I when this guy's a goddamn rookie? Penn State's own Miles Sanders, baby. I'm a Penn Stater if you haven't known. Miles Sanders, he's been explosive. He had the injury early on, and people are saying, he's got this injury, and maybe now it's not a great time for Miles Sanders. No. He's looking really, really good right now. Miles Sanders is blowing people away, saying that he's the undisputed number one running back. A lot of beat writers, all Philly beat writers, are saying right now. You can see it right here, actually. Sanders could be the number one back. It seems like he is going to be the number one back. Now, in the preseason, I'm not sure how much this gets us because, look, he's a guy who, he's a rookie. They want to see him work out there. But they're also potentially, like Saquon in the preseason last year, maybe he gets like 4 carries, 5 carries, right? That's not going to help us. We need more than that. But keep in mind, this guy's also a rookie. They want to see him. He's not nearly as, I would say, coveted as a Saquon Barkley. Went to the same school, kind of learned under Saquon in a way. But it wasn't that first round, second pick overall. But Miles Sanders is a guy that I think I'm going to have my eyes on for the preseason. I think that as long as he is suited up and ready to go tomorrow, that you could potentially see, or I guess on Thursday, potentially see 5 to 10, maybe closer to 10, hopefully, opportunities in both targets. He's a great pass-catching guy, not as good in the run-blocking game, but definitely has hands and is an explosive runner, two-stepping and be able to cut on a dime like Saquon Barkley, learning and training with him for 2 to 3 years in college. So Miles Sanders is the first guy that I would look at. This is going to be your hypey type pick. Everybody's high on Miles Sanders right now if you've been tracking preseason beat reporters, anything of that nature. But yeah, just to let you know, Miles Sanders is probably going to be the Eagles' number one running back in a kind of crowded backfield. He's separating himself. For the preseason, I want to see on Thursday if there's any more news on him, if he is actually going to suit up, and what the opportunities, if we have at least any type of coach speak. We should have more knowledge on how much time these players are going to see on the field, these newer rookies who have a role in the offense. But I am very interested in Miles Sanders, especially since he is now kind of this undeclared number one, or at least seems like he's being that undeclared number one. Let's get to the next guy, who I think is actually going to be pretty interesting, not only right now, but potentially in the actual regular season. It is Benny Fowler for the Giants. Look, not only just Benny Fowler, a guy who's a journeyman in this league, but also some other players as well that are wide receivers out there. Russell Shepard. Couple things here, and we can kind of do this as a two-parter with the Giants QB as well. Benny Fowler, you have no Odell, obviously. You have no Corey Coleman, who tore his ACL. He's out for the year. You have no Sterling Shepard for a little while as he broke his thumb or whatever it might be. Hate how my email pops up every second. But we have Benny Fowler here, and he's been looking really good. He's been the favorite target, according to beat writers, of Daniel Jones in practice. Eli Manning, if he plays, it won't be much. Daniel Jones is going to be the guy that people want to see in this preseason game, and I imagine they give him at least a quarter to a quarter and a half of play. Benny Fowler, they don't have a lot of wide receiver depth. They need to see what they have in their wide receivers, who are potentially going to be starting week 1 with Benny Fowler as your number 1 wide receiver and Russell Shepard as your number 2. That's scary. Obviously, Saquon's out there, Evan Ingram's out there, but that's still scary. So Benny Fowler's been the favorite target as of right now. And also Golden Tate's obviously out there, but he's facing potential suspension. So this might be your number 1 wide receiver to start the season. I imagine Golden State gets at least 2 games, potentially 4. So all that said, yeah, Benny Fowler, they're going to have to see what they have in him. He's been getting targeted the most by Daniel Jones in the preseason. Again, we have to try and find the edges anywhere we can, as much information as we can. That's what I'm liking. And then along with that, we can kind of go right to Daniel Jones. The Daniel Jones hype right now out of these beat writers in New York has been pretty high. People are saying that he has the arm strength that they've seen the past week in the preseason practices. He has this arm strength that people were kind of laughing about him not having. Apparently it's there. I mean, I'm not there to tell you it, but apparently it's there. And yeah, they want to see what they have out of him. I imagine Daniel Jones gets extended run in the preseason. Don't see a reason why you're not going to play him more in game one and see what you have in him in a game environment. Practice is totally different to see how strong that arm is compared to the game environment. So I do think the quarterbacks, I think skill position players are where you want to go. I'll quickly throw out there that there's so many defenses. There's 24 defenses to choose from. Don't expect me to go through and pick the defenses for you. If you want to play some defenses, go ahead and do it. I don't think there's as much upside in tournaments and playing a ton of defenses. Maybe one, but then you're just guessing at where you really want to go for with the defense. So I like skilled position players, the wide receivers, the running backs, maybe a tight end, but probably not, and then obviously the quarterbacks. So yeah, Daniel Jones is somebody that I'm looking into playing. He's going to get extended run. He was this first overall pick for the Giants, and Benny Fowler seems to be his favorite target, at least early on in practice. If anything changes, I will let you know come Thursday. Next guy up, one that makes a lot of sense right now, Justin Jackson for the Chargers. So you have Austin Eckler going to be the de facto number one, apparently, with Melvin Gordon still threatening to hold out. So Austin Eckler is going to be the guy that they go to in this preseason game one against Arizona. I imagine he gets some run, Austin Eckler, but Justin Jackson is going to be the guy I think gets a lot of the work. And then some of the running backs behind him. But he's the most explosive guy, the most seasoned guy, and he's going to get to go up against a lot of second and third string guys from Arizona as a guy who was playing against first string defensive backs for most of the season, or at least all of his possessions last year. So Justin Jackson's a guy to keep your eye on, kind of the obvious one since Melvin Gordon is holding out. They're going to have to see right now, if Gordon holds out for 8 weeks, what do we have in our backfield? We know what Austin Eckler can do. We kind of know what Justin Jackson can do, but in a preseason game, I imagine Justin Jackson will get some run. Next up, as I continue to look at my handy-dandy notebook, the man, the myth, the legend, the first overall pick, Calimary. So right now, it's not known if Calimary is going to play or not on Thursday. We will know on Thursday, but the coach said, hey, you got to tune in to find out. If Calimary is playing, it's not going to be for that long. It might be for the first quarter, but this kid is explosive. If this kid rushes for 50 yards and a touchdown and throws for a couple of yards, he's got 15 fantasy points, and that's not a lot of things that other people can do with a quarter of play. So if this kid's playing, yes, I'm all over potentially rostering him. He'll probably be really popular because people know his name. So in terms of ownership, I'll probably get away from it. In my course, I talk a lot about how ownership doesn't really matter in the NFL, but on a showdown slate or on a slate where you have to just pick a couple of players, it starts to actually matter. So it's not actually a showdown slate. I don't know why I said that. But it starts to actually matter. Kyler Murray is probably not the guy I'd put in the quarterback spot, although I think he has that upside in just one quarter. It'd be more guys who I think would get a whole quarter and a half of plays just because they have more opportunities, although they're a lot worse players. So the difference or the gap between a Kyler Murray, who has in 2 possessions or 2 drives, can rush for 40 yards and potentially a touchdown and have 12 fantasy points, his upside right there is a lot more than other players who are only pass throwers and they're third string guys who are just terrible and looking to potentially complete like 4 or 5 passes. So yes, Kyler Murray, it might sound obvious. It's not as obvious as it sounds, but he is still in a good spot if he actually suits up. But right now it's a tune in and you'll see. I don't see why he won't, so we'll see. Rookie running backs. We already talked about Josh Jacobs getting the starting job. We don't want Josh Adams. Are they not on the slate? Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, so Oakland's not even on the slate. Cool. That makes it a lot easier. But David Montgomery. So Oakland's not on the slate, so Josh Jacobs, that's what I want to talk about, how he got the starting job. But right now, so far, David Montgomery is making a lot of people impressed. He was the rookie. They were potentially saying he was the best rookie in this draft as a running back position because not only could he run the ball and make cuts and kind of look like a little bit of a Saquon Barkley, he has great hands. He's able to block. His route running is fantastic. This is all the things that are coming out of camp right now. This kid's going to get opportunities. They have other running backs out there, right? They have Mike Davis and some other veterans that potentially can get some of the snaps, but he's going to have all the opportunity in the world to take over the starting job. They want to see him in competition. David Montgomery is going to be one of the most explosive players on the field on Thursday in any of these games. Any of them. You're not going to have all the stars out there, otherwise you would see explosive players. He's going to be one of the most fun players to watch. I'm going to have a lot of interest in rostering David Montgomery. You all very much should. Even in season-long leagues, there's going to be some potential upside. But yeah, David Montgomery for this weekend's game, he's going to get all the opportunity in the world. There's no doubt about it. He's healthy. This kid can make plays. It's not only going to be on the ground. They're going to throw some passes to him. I can almost guarantee he's going to have 2 to 3 targets because they want to see what he does in open space against actual defenses in an actual game as much as a preseason game is an actual game. So very excited for David Montgomery. I don't see any reason why that will change come Thursday. Next up. This is an interesting one, but I'm really actually excited for it. TJ motherfucking Yeldon for the Buffalo Bills. Look, this Buffalo Bills roster of running backs right now is pretty deep, right? With Shady McCoy being the lead guy out there. Let's actually pull it all up so you can actually see just how much depth they actually have. They have Shady McCoy. They brought in Frank Gore. They have Singletary, another guy that they actually somewhat believe in. But you have TJ Yeldon out here. They drafted Singletary, I believe. You have TJ Yeldon out here, a guy who, look, it's a preseason game. If this was the regular season, obviously I'm not playing TJ Yeldon. But it's a preseason game. TJ Yeldon, the fourth guy on the unofficial depth chart right now for the Bills. And we know this guy can catch the ball. We know this guy has upside. In the regular season, during actual fantasy, DFS, for full season, he might actually have some weeks where he's viable due to injuries or due to LaShawn McCoy, who the hell knows, getting cut because he's just god-awful. But yeah, TJ Yeldon, he's a guy that I like. I like kind of targeting this guy that's proven, a guy who's going to go out there as he's a NFL caliber running back. We've seen it in Jacksonville. He had huge weeks. He's a pass-catching guy. And now he's going to go out there facing guys off the streets, third-string guys. He's going to be coming in the third quarter, whatever it might be. I think TJ Yeldon's going to have a lot of opportunity here. I think they want to see what they have out of this different type of back. Shady McCoy, right, a guy who's kind of getting older, still has some juice in the tank. Frank Gore, just, I don't know why he went to Buffalo. That old man and his joints are going to be freezing up there. Singletary is another guy. So both of the Bills running backs I like. They're not really sold in on Shady McCoy. Obviously, Frank Gore is not brought in there to change the offense. So Singletary and TJ Yeldon are both guys that I'm looking towards in this Buffalo Bills backfield. I do like the fact that Yeldon has had experience already, but they're going to want to see what they have in Singletary as well. So both of those guys I do like a lot. Both of the running backs, the third and the fourth string on the unofficial depth chart for Buffalo. Next guy up is going to be an interesting one. He should get a lot of run. A lot of these guys, or actually, I don't think they're actually playing. Let me see something really quickly. When they do play, and I don't think they're playing right now. What am I trying to look at up here? Okay, good. Yeah, they're not playing. Okay, so Oakland's not playing. The Rams aren't playing. I honestly didn't know all the teams that were on the preseason slate. There's 24. I didn't look into each and every one of them. But whenever Darrell Henderson steps on the field, the running back that was drafted by the Rams, it's going to be explosive in the preseason. I can almost not guarantee that because we don't know yet. But look, Todd Gurley's not going to be playing in these games. He already has some issue with his leg. He's not getting any run. They drafted Darrell Henderson for the exact reason to be Todd Gurley if Todd Gurley can't play this season. They're going to want to see what they have out of him. So not for this slate, unfortunately. I got so excited. David Montgomery is making me really excited that he's on this slate. Darrell Henderson would have also made me excited. Keep that name handy because it actually might become useful during the season. We talked about Daniel Jones. Let's look at some other ones. Jalen Strong for Cleveland. So we talked about how Antonio Callaway is falling down this depth chart. Right now you have Jarvis Landry working through an injury. Odell's not going to be playing in this game. If he does, it'll be like one possession, one series. Jalen Strong's been the guy flying up the depth charts right now. They've been giving a lot of hype out of him. He's been having quotes saying this is the hardest he's ever worked after getting cut by the Texans. So I like this idea of kind of seeing what Jalen Strong has. He's been the guy who's getting targeted a lot right now with the fact that Jarvis Landry has not been in practice. Antonio Brown's just not even getting on the field with the firsts right now. Jalen Strong has been running with the number ones, but he's also going to be out there with the backups as well. They want to see what they have in this guy. Right now on the depth chart, he's virtually the number 3 receiver, number 4 receiver, right around that mix. So a lot of hype coming out, somewhat hype from Browns camp on Jalen Strong. When you have Odell, you have Landry in the regular season. You don't need much more hype behind that, especially when Baker Mayfield's your quarterback. But for preseason purposes, Jalen Strong's a big, fast receiver who was drafted early in the draft a couple years back, 2015, I believe, and he really hasn't panned out, battled some injuries in ACL, and now it seems like he's back into just at least football form and performing well. So Jalen Strong seems like a guy who can potentially stretch the field, beat players. He's more, I would say, he's better than the defenders that he's going to be facing out of these second and third stringers. So I do like Jalen Strong as a potential sneaky type of player. Another player that is standing out. Bang. Not Carry-On. Carry-On is standing out, though. If you're not on Carry-On yet, you better be on Carry-On. Keyshawn Johnson. So Keyshawn Johnson is very similar in terms of where he's been right now in the hype, like a Jalen Strong for Arizona right now in this offense. It seems like he's going to be the backup, the primary backup to a Christian Kirk right now. The first unofficial depth chart of training camp came out, and that's where he's at. They actually write that almost word for word right here. Wow. So you're going to have Johnson out there. They drafted him. He looks really, really good right now as a young kid, and this is exactly what you want in the preseason. We saw it with Kelvin Benjamin a couple of years ago in the preseason. They wanted to see the Panthers, what they had in this kid. It turned out he was actually pretty decent, scored in the preseason a couple of times. Keyshawn Johnson, he's a guy that I'm going to be getting to. Maybe not week 1, although week 1 makes sense because you're probably not going to have Christian Kirk out there that much. I want to see what this new Arizona offense, if you have not been keeping attention, they have said, Bruce Arians has said they're going to go from the slowest paced team in the league to, or not Bruce Arians, he's coaching for Tampa. I don't know why the hell I said Bruce Arians, but they said that they're going to be going from the slowest paced team in the league to the fastest paced team in the league. They want to run 70 or 80 plays or 100 plays, and if you run 70 plays, that's like record breaking pace. So 100 plays was a little exaggeration, of course, but yeah, I want to see what they're going to do. They're going to run that offense out in the preseason, whether it's with the primary guys or the backup guys. Johnson is a perfect fit for this offense. He's going to get more opportunities because he is a kind of second string guy right now, but he has that upside. He's in that leeway period between not being a starter who's going to come off the field early and not being just a busty, terrible player, right? He's in between there, which is what we're looking for right now. A couple other players that I will mention. We talked about how the Jets offense is being lethargic right now. You're not going to see any real... You're not really going to see anything in terms of Le'Veon Bell on the field. I will give you a tip for season long. Le'Veon Bell, I probably wouldn't go there. This team is going to play at a very slow pace. Adam Gase, when he was with Miami, was one of the slowest paced teams in the league. He was bottom like 4 in the league every single year. So not looking forward to that. But Trent Cannon, this is a guy who is explosive. I mean, he was a rookie last year, I believe, and he was fantastic when he had opportunities. He was a dynamic Tariq Cohen type player. Now you have Le'Veon Bell. He's not going to play much. You have Elijah McGuire still out there who might have some preseason upside, but I don't think he plays that much. I think Trent Cannon is going to be the guy who gets a lot of opportunities in terms of not only rushing the ball, but in the receiving game, right? Those valuable point per receptions. I think Trenton Cannon is a nice gadgety type player who should see at least maybe 2 to 3 targets in this game with rushing upside. Not going to be your goal line back, unfortunately, but he can make a big play happen. Very similar to Tariq Cohen, the way that this kid is built. I'm not sure if you heard of him last year, but yes, he's somebody who in the preseason, at least for week 1, seems like he's going to have some opportunities in this offense to see what they can get. Le'Veon Bell is going to be the guy in the regular season. He's not going to play in this preseason. So what are the other running backs going to do? Maybe some running backs that kind of fit that mold. Both McGuire and Cannon should get some work. Lastly, I'll just highlight the fact that A.J. Green is probably not going to be playing. Well, he's not going to be playing in the preseason, potentially not playing week 1. So some of the Bengals wide receivers, moving forward in the other slates are going to be ones that you want to keep an eye on. Who is the one that I wrote down, actually? Trying to think who the one is. It was like Malone. You want to keep an eye on him. He's supposed to be the de facto number 1 for the preseason, and they say that they want to see more and more of what Erickson's going to be primarily a slot guy, but what Erickson can do in the slot to see if Boyd can develop on the outside, what Malone can do. So keep an eye on that. Anytime that you're going to see players who are going to run with the ones, but also get extended run with that, potentially like a Benny Fowler right now because they need to see what they have in him and a Russell Shepard, those are good targets in the preseason because they just have more opportunities with better players, but then they also get more opportunities later in the game against worse defensive players. So this is where I'm at, just news and notes. I'll be coming back on Thursday to talk about it. That took a while, but hopefully it helps. I appreciate you tuning in. Again, you can sign up for the course down below. Follow me on Twitter at SalVetriDFS. Hope this video helps a ton. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new here. If you're new here and you're subscribing, thank you. This channel has grown from 1,000 to 6,000 in a matter of like 6 or 7 months, so appreciate all of you so much. Again, my name is Sal. You already know that. Peace out, gang.